Scientists are releasing a new warning about the threat of a massive supervolcano eruption, like the one under Yellowstone National Park.
But it could be the world's most powerful natural weapon of mass destruction. If it erupts, scientists say it would be more powerful than 60 million atom bombs.
It could destroy the United States as we know it.
There has been a lot of frenzied fear over an imminent apocalypse coming from the eruption of the Yellowstone supervolcano. And according to who you read, it could lead to anything from a mass drop in global temperatures to the extinction of life on Earth. But exactly how likely is this to happen? An ordinary volcanic eruption would reach about 100 cubic kilometers of erupted magma. Supervolcanoes can reach up to 5,000 cubic kilometers in a single eruption.
Whereas a normal volcano builds up in a series of small eruptions, producing a volcanic cone, when a supervolcano erupts, it generates a cavity in the ground as all the magma that's accumulated below the surface is expelled. That cavity is what's referred to as a caldera, a broad basin up to several tens of kilometres across. Although we do occasionally see single calderas sitting on their own, it's much more common to see what are known as caldera fields, which is groups of 5, 10, 20 or even more calderas overlapping each other in a very wide area that might be hundreds or even 1,000 kilometres across.
Throughout history, there have been over 100 super eruptions. But due to millions of years of erosion, it's impossible for us to know when exactly they happened and how many there have been. Yellowstone is undoubtedly the most famous supervolcano caldera field in the world. It is not the biggest, but due to its location, it could potentially cause the most economic disruption to Western civilization.
It's produced 3 very large caldera-forming eruptions in the last 2 million years. It has also produced a very large number of smaller eruptions. At the moment, magma does seem to be accumulating beneath it again, but there aren't strong indications of very large bodies of magma, so it may well be quite a long time yet before Yellowstone is capable of producing a supervolcano eruption again. There's another argument that says, okay, it's had 3 of these eruptions in the last 2 million years, and the last one was about 2/3 of a million years ago, therefore we're due for another one. But that's quite a naive argument in that it assumes that the spacing between supervolcano eruptions within a single volcanic field is uniform. And when we look at other supervolcano fields, that's not the case.
If an eruption were to take place today, experts estimate a blanket of ash would cover most of the U.S. It could also force vast quantities of gas, like sulfur dioxide, into our atmosphere.
The immediate impact of a supervolcano eruption can be divided into 3 parts. Firstly, close to the caldera and extending for 100 kilometres or more from the caldera, there's a zone of complete devastation. Outside that, there's a zone of regional damage where there is fallout of the ash that's gone up into the atmosphere and spread out in a giant ash cloud. In the modern day context, the obvious consequence: suppression of agriculture, disruption to transport, collapse of buildings with the ash accumulating on the roofs. The third component is the very fine ash and the volcanic gases that spread out high in the atmosphere and spread out all over the world. It's been proposed that the amount of that ash and the amount of gas which condenses to form aerosols is so great that what it will do is it will reflect back sunlight and the Earth will experience a period of global cooling. The problem here is whether that effect in a supervolcano eruption is so much greater than the effects that we see on the atmosphere from smaller eruptions. The evidence from past supervolcano eruptions says that actually it may not be as bad as that.
Now, Doctor, is this realistic? Are we just scaring people out there? I mean, because people are writing in, they're thinking we're talking about Armageddon here.
So perhaps it's not as apocalyptic as some may suggest. Without the full knowledge of what's happened in our past, it's quite difficult to tell what's going to happen in our future.
Human society is both much more vulnerable to disruption from large-scale natural disasters like supereruptions, but equally we have much greater capacity to respond to it. If we can foresee a supereruption happening years or even decades ahead from that precursory activity, and we actually have the will to act upon that knowledge, then we might be able to cope an awful lot better than the Hollywood movie view of a supereruption might suggest.